Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I go by Londoncookss, and in today's tutorial we're going to be making some stewed beef. If you are a regular, welcome back, and as always, thank you so much for watching. And if this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I promise you love it here and you will not regret it. To make our stewed beef, we're going to be using some Dale's liquid steak seasoning, and I found this at my local Kroger, you guys. Some soy sauce, browning, ground ginger, garlic powder, black pepper, Maggi all-purpose seasoning, a little salt, some brown sugar, lots of fresh blend, and I'll list the ingredients list for this below. Pimento seeds, which I'm going to be grounding. I also have 4 potatoes and 2 large carrots. I'm going to be using about 2.5 pounds of beef to make this stewed beef, and I did clean my beef by just removing any excess fat. I like to get started by washing my meat using vinegar and cool water, and I do this by adding about a 1/4 cup of vinegar to the meat and rinsing the meat under cool water about 2 times. Next, we're going to get started with seasoning our beef. So I'm drizzling just a little bit of oil on here just to help the seasonings to marinate, a dash of salt, a 1/2 tablespoon of garlic powder, all-purpose seasoning, black pepper, a 1/4 tablespoon of ground ginger, a few seeds of pimento, which I'm going to ground, you guys, because I do not like to bite into these in my food. So I'm only using a few seeds, and remember, once you ground these, the strength intensifies, so you definitely will not use as much compared to using the seeds, and that is when grounding them. I'm also going in with 1 tablespoon soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of the Dale's steak seasoning, and you guys be very careful with the Dale's steak seasoning as it can be a little high in sodium, and 1 tablespoon of fresh blend. When working with browning, I like to add it very last. That way I have an opportunity to take a look at my meat and somewhat eyeball it to see if I feel like it needs more seasoning. And I did go in with another 1/2 tablespoon of all-purpose seasoning and a 1/4 tablespoon of ground ginger. And what I did with the browning, you guys, I filled up my tablespoon, but I only went in with about a 1/4 of that tablespoon. So what I would advise when working with browning, go in with really small amounts at a time and make sure that you combine everything evenly. That way you do not overdo it. This is my beef after I was done seasoning it, and you guys, I'm so excited because it looks so gorgeous already. So I allowed mine to marinate for about 4 hours, but I do recommend overnight if you do have the time, as it will result in more flavor. Now that my beef has been completely marinated, I added enough oil to a Dutch oven pot, allowed it to get super hot over a medium-high heat, and then added 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, which I will allow to burn before adding my beef in here. Once my sugar started bubbling, that is the point that I add the beef. You guys, do not allow your sugar to burn for too long, or else it will result in a very nasty, bitter taste. I allowed my beef to brown for about 5 to 8 minutes and stirred it about 2 times or so. And as you guys can see, the beef is releasing a lot of liquid as it's cooking. I'll show you guys what point I add water to my pot, but now it's time to get it ready for simmer mode, and I added 2 tablespoons of fresh blend, a few grounded pimento seeds, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, and also 1 teaspoon ground ginger. I lowered my heat to low and covered my pot, and from here I'm going to be checking my pot every 25 minutes or so. This is the first 25 minutes into cooking, and you guys, I have not added any liquid whatsoever to my pot. This liquid in the pot is strictly from the beef, so I would encourage not to add any water to your pot at first. And I think it's super important to cook the beef on low. That way it cooks in its own juices. You don't have to add liquid anytime soon. And so that will prevent the seasons in a pot from being drowned out. Each time that I open my pot, I made sure to check the tenderness of my beef because this will not take very long to cook, you guys. Especially being that I'm only making about 2.5 pounds. The beef started to get tender after about 15 minutes or so into cooking. So at this point in time, I'm now going to reseason my pot. I raised up my heat from low to medium at this point, and I'm adding to the pot 2 tablespoons of my fresh blend, the 2 really large carrots, which I did cut into cubes, a few sprigs of thyme, and I'm going to allow this to cook for about 5 minutes or so before adding the potatoes because I prefer my carrots a little bit more on the tender side, a 1/4 tablespoon of all-purpose seasoning, a few seeds of pimento, which I did ground, this is the point where I'm going to add some water. So I used about 1.5 cups of hot water and not room temperature water because hot water will help with the tenderness of my beef. I'm now going to go in with 2 teaspoons of garlic powder and the 3 potatoes, which I did cut into cubes. And last but not least, I'm going to add some ketchup in here. So I'm using about 1/2 cup of ketchup, but you can definitely use any amounts that you prefer. At this point in time, I'm now going to cover my pot and allow my veggies to cook. My beef is now done. The beef and the veggies are nice and tender, and this took about 1 hour and 10 minutes total cook time. There you have it. Stew beef, beef stew, brown stew beef, whatever you call it, you guys. This smells so good, and the taste was even more divine. So I'm just going to do one last tenderness check, and then dinner is served. We had this delicious beef with a side of rice and peas and some fruit juice. I did not bother with the veggies, being that it does have potatoes and carrots in here. And listen, you guys, everything was just mind-blowing. We definitely took a nap for sure after dinner. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment with any questions, suggestions, concerns, subscribe to my channel, and also check out my website, Londoncookss.com, which I'll leave a link to that below for recipes that I do not share on here.